Welcome to Rod's Tabletop Hoops. Here's an ABA tournament recap. There are spoilers here if you have not watched the games 1 through 7 on YouTube. Mostly live streams, there's a couple recorded ones. Here's the bracket, the play-in bracket. Pacers, Pipers, Buccaneers, and Oaks, all winners and leaders 1-0 in the ABA tournament. Game 1, the play-in game prior to that tournament, the Rockets defeated the Mavericks 119-105 despite 38 points from Bob Verga, the guard for the Houston Mavericks. The Rockets just eventually wore them down. Larry Jones, the league's leading scorer in as far as points, he started slow but finished with 24, hitting 9 of 15. Solid games all around by the starters for the Denver Rockets, and Houston was just inferior. Game 2, the Pipers blew out the Nets. The Nets only won 17 on the regular season, and it showed. Willie Somerset, only 5 of 24 for them. Walt Simon did go 8 for 18, but much of that production occurred late in the game. Trooper Washington had a monster game with 28 points and 16 rebounds. Art Heyman and Connie Hawkins followed up with 21-point games, and Mike Lewis came off the bench to have 19 rebounds. Then the Pipers are the defending champions. The Chaparrals play-in game with the Los Angeles Stars was fairly close for a while, but unfortunately Larry Miller couldn't buy a basket. He's the leading scorer on the Stars, and John Beasley eventually went from very cold to very hot, finishing with 37 points and 17 boards. Other solid games from Cincy Powell, and of course player coach Cliff Hagan, 18 points in 16 minutes off the bench. Game number 4, the Pacers and Kentucky Colonels. This may have been one of the closest games of my entire playoffs. The Colonels led by 15 at halftime, and then the third quarter run by the Indiana Pacers, they nearly doubled their score, outscoring them 29-15 in the third quarter. That lead evaporated, and in the clutch, Louis Dampier and Darryl Carrier just lost their shooting touch, and Mel Daniels powered in 20 rebounds to go with 25 points. 28 for the great Roger Brown, 21 for Freddie Lewis, who was keeping them in the game early on despite his 9 turnovers. Now we've got Oakland and Denver. Oakland maintained a 5 to 10 point lead throughout the entire game until the fourth period, and the Rockets stormed back and actually had a 10-point lead with about 6 minutes to play. However, Rick Barry would not allow that to continue. He hit 13 points in the final period, hitting all 15 of his free throws on the night for 35. He did average 34, so that was just an average night for Rick. And Warren Armstrong overcame 8 turnovers, had 19 points. Larry Brown, 18 points, 8 assists. Game number 6, the Pipers and Floridians. This was a pretty darn close game throughout. Connie Hawkins had just kind of an average ball game, but once again, Trooper Washington was just amazingly the workhorse, we'll just call him. 20 points, 19 rebounds in 42 minutes of play. Hawk had his 21. Chico Vaughn had a miserable game, but it was still enough with Charlie Williams playing okay to defeat the Floridians, the only road win in these 7 games thus far. Skip Thoreen led the Miami team with 25 points and 18 boards, and Andy Anderson had 16 off the bench. Finally, the game just completed. The New Orleans Buccaneers overcome a late surge by the Dallas Chaps, and once again Cliff Hagan tried to put them on their back coming off the bench as the player coach threw in 23 points in 25 minutes, and but it wasn't enough as James Jones overcame 9 turnovers to score 33 points on 12 of 20 from the floor, and they ended up squeaking out this game. Cincy Powell had 31 and John Beasley had 28 in defeat. Well, thank you. This has just been a recap of games 1 through 7 of the 68-69 ABA tournament. Please subscribe to Rod's Tabletop Hoops or join me on Facebook. Thanks for watching, and we hope to hear from you soon. Good night.